you all. So we'll get started here. I'm going to continue to let folks in from the waiting room as I see them. But welcome. Thank you all for joining us. We're excited to have you here. Just to let you all know, as you have questions throughout this presentation, please throw them into the chat or raise your hand. There are a couple of different Zoom functions you can use. You do not have to wait till the end to ask your questions. We kind of want to open up a dialogue and get to know all of you and what you're looking for in a program. And just one moment as I figure out my presentation. Okay, so I'm going to have the hosts of the meeting really quickly introduce themselves, and then we're going to ask you a couple questions, so get ready for that. But Pavel, if you'd like to start off.
Thank you so much, Brittany. So I'm Pavel Schlossberg, the department chair. I work in intercultural communications. I've been with Gonzaga 10 years in the COML program. I want to emphasize that we are a brick and mortar residential full-time faculty on campus. We really appreciate you being here for this webinar and making time to be here. We will have ample opportunities for questions and conversations. We love hearing from our prospective and current students. We're very student-centered. So yes, we will start with some conversations, and then there will be opportunities to have more engagement as we move forward when you put your questions or comments into chat.
Hello all, I'm Mike Hazel. I'm also a faculty member here in the Communication Leadership Studies program. I've been with the program full-time since 2008, was the department chair from 2014 to 18, and glad to hand the baton off to Dr. Schlossberg, who's continued to innovate with lots of new programming and interesting opportunities. I teach a number of courses and have some different scholarly interests, which include some related to political communication, related to presidential elections. Seems to be relevant these days. I've done work with communication apprehension and competence, and I'm also looking about integrating that in terms of positive psychology mindfulness, in terms of leadership and communication contexts. So I look forward to our conversations today.
Wonderful. I am Brittany Stone. I am the admissions specialist for the Master's in Communication and Leadership Studies program. I'm also a student, and I actually started in the program as a student before I was a staff member. I am scheduled to graduate this coming May, and I'm very excited. And I invite all of you to, book time with me, get on the phone with me, and we can chat about your needs for a program and kind of what you're looking for.
Hi, everyone. My name is Alicia Luna. I'm a current student in the COML program. I'm a little more than halfway done. I'll actually also be graduating in May of 2022. I currently live in Anchorage, Alaska. I attended University of Anchorage, Alaska for my undergraduate degree in psychology, and currently working on my master's degree at Gonzaga in communication and leadership. And I currently am a graduate assistant for Dr. Schlossberg and Dr. Hazel this semester. Thank you.
Wonderful. So some Zoom meeting tips. We are recording this meeting. Please keep yourself on mute unless you're asking a question, and then feel free to just jump in there. You can use the raise hand feature. You can also use the chat feature. We will be monitoring that, and then we'll save some time at the end for question and answer as well. So we would love to hear from you. If you want to throw into the chat or just let us know, why are you considering a master's degree? What are you looking for a program? Just we'd love to hear from you at this point, just to get us started. I know that speaking in my experience, I looked at COML for about 5 years in trying to make my decision. It took me a long time to get here, but I was looking for something that would combine my communication, work experience, but be broad enough to be used. I have varied interests. And so I wanted to make sure, is this something I can use in the nonprofit world? Is this something I can use in the for-profit world? Is this something I can use in higher education? looks like we had some good questions come through. So what are some of the differences between this degree and the organizational leadership degree? That's a really good question. They are sister programs.
Yeah, and so there's absolutely overlap in the programs, but obviously we have a disciplinary focus in communication. Leadership is also very centrally integrated into what we do. And besides some of the communication skills, you also develop the critical thinking, strategic thinking capacity, personal leadership qualities. So we are definitely focused, for example, if you're interested in thinking about communication and leadership in a digital space, thinking of aspects of communication in organizations and how that relates to leadership. These are particular focus areas to our program that would be distinct to COML as compared to, say, what Orgel offers. There's a lot of really, and I want to invite other folks to jump in, faculty, students to kind of respond or engaged with some of these comments.
Yeah, I know. Oh, go ahead, Dr. Hazel.
Okay, Brittany. Yeah, I think some of these reasons that you're looking and thinking about graduate school and balancing next steps in your career, learning new knowledge and skills, we'll kind of get to, I think, as we go through the presentation. So continue to add questions as they come up. I'll be monitoring and we'll kind of hand that off. But I really appreciate everybody sort of sharing their reasons and thinking about our program and graduate school in general.
Yeah.
And we'll get into some of this momentarily, but what is really exciting here is that so many of the interests and reasons really resonate with our goals of our program so nicely. So that's always so meaningful and exciting to see that.
Yeah, a lot of good comments coming through about personal and career growth and development and continuing education. I think a lot of us can count ourselves as lifelong learners here. So wonderful. Let's see. So I wanted to go over some basics of the program, and then you're going to hear from Dr. Schlossberg and Dr. Hazel and Alicia as well, getting into some more of the specifics. But just program basics, it's a 30-credit program. It takes our students about 2 years to complete, and usually they're working full-time. And so you're just taking one class at a time while working full-time in order to complete your master's degree within 2 years, which very flexible program, perfect if you're working full-time, as Alicia and I have both found in our experience. You can expect to spend anywhere from 8 to 15 hours a week on your coursework for one class. And so that fits really nicely with a 40-hour work week. You still have time for your life, any volunteer activities, your families, that sort of thing. And so it's truly flexible for those who are wanting to continue working while doing their graduate degree. We have some excellent short-term study abroad options, which we'll get into in a little more detail later, but we're always happy to answer questions about those. The courses in the program are 8 weeks long. They're asynchronous, meaning that you're logging in throughout the week as you have time in your work week, plugging into discussion board posts and following along with your syllabus and along with, your assignments, which makes it nice because you have people logging in at 10 p.m., you have the people logging in at 6 a.m., and you kind of get to know what your classmates prefer and what time they prefer to be online. With that, there's a lot of networking that happens internally with the program. You're going to be in classes with people who are at all stages of their career. Maybe they're already working for an organization that you'd like to get in with. Maybe they're already in the position that you're looking to earn with this degree. The program is online, but there are multiple opportunities to come onto campus, to do domestic immersions and to do the study abroad. So while you can do the program right now virtually, just know that there's always options to come and immerse yourself a little more fully. And then, of course, that stat from Department of Labor is those with the master's degree tend to earn about $12,000 more a year. So folks who are looking for career advancement and progression can usually find that with a master's degree.
I'll throw in just mention a couple of other things. So from day one, from course number one, um, you're working in a way within the curriculum to applying models, theories, concepts in ways that are relevant to your own career, to your own organizational and professional context. We are dedicated to having a program that's an applied program that helps you develop those connections, thinking about theories, thinking about application in very real world situations. And our assignments are structured that way, activities are structured that way. At the same time, you're obviously developing strategic and critical thinking skills. There are courses, for example, Dr. Hazel's mindful leadership and mindfulness class is an example where you develop your sense of self as a leader, and things of that sort. So there is that direct payoff and application from day one, and we are again, we have campus-based immersions, we have study abroad options, we have a lot of experience also teaching online. We have a lot of resources, and there's a lot of effort being put into creating very engaging, dynamic, cutting edge teaching experiences online, and also obviously in these residencies that we specialize in.
Yes, to that point, COVID, the pandemic hit right in the middle of my experience as a student, and nothing changed in the program for me. Everything went smoothly. We were already online, and Gonzaga does a really good job at online graduate education, and so it was interesting not to have that be impacted at all. Everything else was going crazy, job-wise, working from home remotely, all of that, but COML was kind of my it definitely stayed the course. And it made me feel good as a student knowing that, despite this worldwide pandemic, I could kind of have some normalcy. Let's see. So the program is 10 courses total. You're gonna have 5 core courses, and then you have flexibility to choose your other 5 courses, your elective courses. So they could be courses that interest you. They could be courses that are part of one of our 6 optional concentrations. It could be study abroad courses. You have a lot of flexibility. The wonderful thing about the optional concentrations is that you can declare your concentration at any point in the program. You can wait, get into the program, try out some courses, and decide, I think I'd like to try to earn that concentration. And what that looks like is you'll basically graduate, and your degree-bearing transcript will show that you graduated with a Master of Arts in Communication and Leadership Studies with a concentration in blank. You can do up to 2 concentrations. I just completed my digital media strategies and my strategic and organizational communication concentrations. I ended up taking 1 more course over the 10 so that I could do that. There is some double up allowed though. And so what I found is I already wanted to take the courses, but they also helped focus my coursework specifically into these areas, those are our 2 most popular concentrations, the third being the college teaching concentration. And so for me, when I think about the future, my future career and kind of the skills that I've learned over the last decade, those concentrations spoke to me most. But again, lots of flexibility. You don't have to come into the program knowing that you want to do a concentration, and you don't have to declare a concentration.
And one of the things that's really nice is that you can obviously do the core requirements and your capstone. You can do a concentration, and depending again, obviously on timing and your intent, there's still room for 1 or even 2 additional electives, all within the 10 courses, the 30 credits. And again, it's because, as you see with the concentrations, we are very intentional. Our program is broad and dynamic and multifaceted, and yet we have these very intentionally certain specific focus areas that seems to resonate cross-cut, but also resonate with our students. So it's that intentionality that allows you to both go deep into an area and also have this broader coverage. I want to give a quick example of just a range of project, and this is in the capstone. It was one of the courses I'm facilitating. So 3 of the topics, just give you, this is typical range. So I have a student who's doing capstone around diversity, equity, inclusion, and dance organizations. Again, applying different skills from the core and concepts from the core courses and certain electives. Another individual who's a local broadcast journalist and doing actually a feature news stories as on the modern newscast, introducing the new streamers and how streaming is impacting the news, the media industry, and skills that journalists need, and also thinking about issues such as ethics. Somebody else is doing a digital marketing expansion plan for a family farm, focusing around grass-fed beef, from central Washington. So just this real range of ways that the skill set gets applied into people's experiences and needs relevant to what their goals are.
Yes. And I find that with all of my COML courses that I can really focus based on things going on in my job. I can really focus my studies to what interests me most. And when I'm thinking about my capstone, I will likely tie it into something with my current work. So our students, communication is such a broad discipline, but it fits into every single industry. And so we see that in the jobs that our students end up in. A lot of our students work in higher education, nonprofit and in for-profits, healthcare, technology, that sort of thing. Some of the students come into the program and they're already working for these companies. They're just looking to move up. And then some are moving into these companies after they've graduated with their master's degree. So now we'll turn it over to Dr. Schlossberg.
Okay, thank you so much, Brittany. So again, just for a moment, going back to the previous slide, obviously there are folks from different industries and different walks of life. So there will be people from your area of interest that you will engage with, and you'll be able to share and connect and network with. And there's also folks from very different areas. And the fact that you have folks in higher education, that you have folks in government, that you have folks in different business industries, that you have military, and that we have this broad cross section of folks speaks to the relevance of the skill set and the strength of our program. And so a lot of really interesting cross-pollination happens across different industries and skill sets, and that's also really exciting and really really dynamic, and having this broader applied, professionally focused, but also broader program allows this sort of engagement with folks from a couple of different industries, which is such a strength for our program, and tends to be something that students really appreciate. In terms of the program outcomes, again, thinking we're at Gonzaga University, a humanistic Jesuit university. Obviously, there's an applied aspect to it. There are technical skills that you will develop, but there are also other important skills that are kind of or aspects to the program that build into the capstone, into the core, into elective courses that sharpen your critical thinking skills, that engage in developing you as a leader. You're part of which is relational savvy, which is partly it's knowing and understanding yourself. And all kinds of activities to do that, opportunities to present, to lead projects, to test your skills that are impactful in terms of your growing and nurturing your voice, your self-confidence. We partner with you and accompany you through those processes. And something very distinctive to what we do is there are a lot of short-term study abroad opportunities with different goals for each one. We have robust programs, for example, in Florence, Italy, in Cali, Colombia, Brussels, Belgium, in Prague, the Czech Republic, and there will be other things happening with time, and it builds on intercultural competence and with those experiences, but also often connected to a particular concentration or a very specific skill set in that area. And of course, you could also take none, or you could take multiple study abroad courses. And again, the typical one would be 1 to 2 weeks, and it's very much designed for working professionals And folks for folks that are able to do one or more of these programs, they often tend to be one of the highlights. And of course, it's a chance to work in community with other students from all over the country, other parts of the world, and with with faculty as well.
Great, thank you. Do we have any questions at this moment? I just want to open it up in case we do. Anything we've discussed so far. We'll continue to monitor the chat as well. Dr. Hazel, if you'd like to.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So I think one of the things that centers us and is also sort of distinctive is that we really do kind of take that Jesuit approach of care of the whole person. So I went to Gonzaga as an undergraduate, and I wanted to come back and teach here after I received my PhD from Washington State, precisely because I had such a good undergraduate experience here. And that's intentional in the way we design our courses, in the resources around faculty and student support, that we're trying to work with students to develop their multiple capacities, mentally, intellectually, spiritually, from a skills-based perspective. And we take students where they are from their particular perspectives. So that manifests in many ways from our course designs, but also to our advising opportunities. So I have a number of graduate advisees, and I'm in communication with students all the time. Some when they come to campus for immersions, but oftentimes once those relationships are established, we have Zoom, telephone calls, email. And then we really do have a phenomenal student support system that really makes, I think, the online experience more seamless for the students. And I know Brittany, you're a student in the program. Alicia will speak to this, but even though you're in this online space and you're geographically separate in a lot of cases, it's important that you feel like you're part of our community, and we're very intentional about how we create those. And as Dr. Schlossberg said, there are study abroad opportunities, but we also have domestic immersions as well. One is one of our core courses. It's the $5.99 content creation and strategy course, which has been typically one of our required campus immersion where students come to campus. Obviously, during COVID, we've switched that to online. And I think Alicia just came down for the first time we were able to offer this on campus just about a month ago. So what we, in the content creation and strategy course, we're looking at developing digital media skills, really applied and effective communication in face-to-face situations, developing public speaking, but also relational and one-on-one skills. And then additional kind of writing for the web and digital media. As much as anything though, it's to introduce you to the Gonzaga community, to the resources that are available, to get to know us, to provide those opportunities for socializing, connection, not only with us, but also with the amazing peers and people in your cohort and other students in the program. I'll speak briefly about some domestic immersions. One, and I'll ask Dr. P to talk about this in a moment, is the 513 Leadership and Innovation course, which we kind of co-combined with a relationship we have with the University of Javeriana, Bogota, where we have students from their business school come up and interact with our students for a few days. So Dr. P, you've helped develop and lead that course. Could you speak about that really briefly?
Absolutely. So it's an opportunity for during a week for students from COML and the students from Javeriana to visit some, both in Spokane and Seattle, some mid-size and larger businesses that are known for a culture of innovation, and think about how is the culture of innovation sort of communicated, supported, maintained in the organization, thinking of it in terms of communication principles and what works, what doesn't work. and really talking to leaders from those organizations, and then connecting and having then workshops with sometimes with some of the folks from those organizations. And recent ones, for example, in Seattle have been organizations like Amazon and Boeing and Starbucks, where we have alums, including from COML. And kind of making the connection between what folks in the industry do and also principles and ideas and communication and leadership, which then obviously culminates to certain your personalized projects that you'll do as you think about working effectively as a leader in a space that would promote dynamic innovation in an organization. And it's been a very successful and dynamic and innovative program in itself. And again, because of just intentionality, we can really offer a nice course with the focus of it between Spokane and Seattle in a week, with obviously some elements online before and some opportunities in the online space afterwards.
Thanks, Pavel. Just really briefly, a couple more. We do kind of like to think outside the box a little bit as well. The leadership and mindfulness course that I had co-developed with a colleague is cross-listed with our doctoral program as well. We have a 3-day residency where students come up for that, and we engage in various mindfulness practices, simulations, etc. And then given the certain circumstances with COVID and the pandemic, there were certain students this fall who didn't feel comfortable coming, obviously. So we had an alternative to the residency that we integrated into the course. Some interesting courses also that are kind of out of the box. There's a leadership and community course taught in Vallermo, which is a Benedictine monastery, which is a very interesting way to look at how organizations operate. That's very popular with our students. Another one is Leadership and Hardiness, led by Dr. Adrian Popa, which actually involves a climb of Mount Adams. So it's looking at all kinds of way to work in teams, to look at problem solving and simulations. And interestingly, last year, it's a different story, but they actually had to abandon the class to do a rescue that saved a number of lives. So talk about applied leadership in a real world situation. So I think what it gives you a sense of is that we're allowed as a program to be, I wouldn't say conventional, but very discipline specific, but we also get to be pretty creative with the kind of program that we offer. And I think that's what one of our strengths and sort of distinctive qualities are, that we really want to build flexibility into the program, and we respond a lot by what our students and alum tell us. So it's this two-way conversation as we continue to innovate with changes in the field, as well as what seems to be resonating with students, as well as what is relevant and what we're interested in. So hopefully that just gives you an overview. I want to move on to the next part.
Yes, Alicia, our current COML student and graduate assistant for the department, is going to tell you a little bit about her experience next.
Yeah, Brittany, thank you so much. And I'm really excited to be here and talk to everybody and kind of just go over my experience so far as a COML student. So my name is Alicia Luna. I will be graduating in May of 2022 with my master's in communication and leadership. And so, you know, I have my undergraduate degree, as I mentioned, in psychology from the University of Alaska Anchorage. And I knew studying my undergrad that I really had a passion for social psychology, communication, intercultural communication. And I really wanted to pursue a master's degree that incorporated all of those things. I also currently work in the communication field in a natural gas company in Anchorage, Alaska. So I also knew I wanted a degree that could really help me advance in my career. And also a degree that is, you know, relevant. You can use it in, like Brittany said, in really any industry. And so I, you know, working as full-time, being a full-time mother, and just having all those extracurricular activities, I really leaned toward doing an online program. And I researched Gonzaga and the COML program, and just seeing all the opportunity that Gonzaga had, you know, its academic excellence and such variety and ability to really build your course into what your interests are. For example, I really have a strong passion for intercultural communication, so I really try to have classes, electives that are really geared towards my interest, and it's such a great opportunity. And I can honestly say that, you know, going into an online program and doing even going into a master's program, you have a lot of concerns. You know, it's a big commitment financially, mentally, physically. And I definitely had a lot of concerns. And going into my first semester at Gonzaga, all those concerns went away. When you're there, even from doing a non-traditional route, doing an online course, you really feel like a community when you're immersed with all your teachers and all your cohorts. You really have the support of the community, which I really feel that here at Gonzaga. A Gonzaga education really focuses on the whole person, from your mind to your body to spirit, and Gonzaga education really focuses on a heuristic learning perspective, which I really appreciate. So my experience so far has been really amazing. Like I said, I work with a great group of classmates and teachers, and you really feel like you're traveling through this part of your life with your classmates, having discussion boards, doing the immersion program, which I actually just did back in September, which was really amazing because I got to go down for a few days, be with my classmates, meet all my teachers, and really be immersed in the Gonzaga community, which was a phenomenal experience. Like Brittany said, and Dr. Schlossberg and Dr. Hazel, you really get to construct what classes you want to take with the electives. There's so many opportunity, and Dr. Hazel mentioned quite a few new classes. And you really get to build to what your interests are. And there's so many opportunities outside of the classroom. For example, the study abroad program. I'm actually a graduate assistant, as I mentioned earlier, for Dr. Schlossberg and Dr. Hazel, and that has been a really great experience for me. And there's also concentrations that you can absolutely take advantage of. So there's so much opportunity within the COML program that students have. In terms of workload, I would say that it's definitely doable. Like I said, I work full-time. I'm a full-time parent. I have so many other extracurricular activities that I do, but I'm still able to get on, whether that's 8 a.m. in the morning or, 6 o'clock at night, I can get on anytime and work on my homework, which is great. It allows for great flexibility for people who just live a really busy lifestyle. And it's great. I actually take 2 classes a semester and 2 classes B semester. So instead of finishing in 2 years, I'm finishing it in the program in 1 year. And having this online class where you know the syllabus is out the first day and you can see, okay, when my assignments are due, and being able to really organize your time, and it's a great opportunity. Like I said, I did do the immersion program, and it's a required course, and I decided to go down and to Gonzaga and Spokane and really be more immersed in the community. And it was a great opportunity. I got to meet all my classmates. You get to see these classmates through courses in discussion boards and online, but really being able to go down there and see everyone face to face is really great. You get to meet with your teachers, explore the campus. It was a great opportunity. Let's see. So, I think the best part for me so far has been that immersion program, because of the relationships that you make with everybody there. And being able to make those connections, build relationships is important. And it's great because they allow for so many more opportunities and so many more options within the program. I would say, my biggest advice, if you're really ready, if you're ready to take that next step into a master's program, you're ready for your next academic chapter in your life, I would definitely recommend the COML program. Everything that I've learned so far, even from my first course, my first semester of the program, I've already applied it in my personal and professional life. So, there's so many learning opportunities within the classroom, outside of the classroom. It's just a fantastic program, and I've really enjoyed it so far. And I graduate next semester, and I'm really sad because I'm going to miss everybody, and it's been a wonderful learning opportunity. But it's been great so far. So with that, I really open, any questions that anyone has for me, and any way that I can help them. Brittany and I are both current students, so I'm definitely happy to answer any questions that anybody has.
We had a couple of folks join us. Just to let you know, feel free to raise your hand, ask questions, unmute yourself, throw them in the chat, whatever you're most comfortable with. We definitely want to create that dialogue. And
I have something. Alicia, you mentioned finishing the program in a year. And I'm wondering about the flexibility of doing that, maybe not in a year, but like a year and a half. Is there flexibility to do it as you wish, or are there certain like tracks that you have to be on?
Yeah, and this, from my perspective, I definitely wanted to finish it in a year. That was just a personal goal for myself. So I decided to do, like Brittany mentioned, there's an A session and a B session, which are broken up into 8 weeks. And so I took 2 classes in each semester, which is why I was able to do it in a year. But definitely, I know there's more flexibility to really take 1 class per semester and finish it in 2 years. And Brittany, you might want to jump in, if
yeah, it's so flexible. You can do it in usually a year and a semester is the typical shortest amount you can get through. I will have finished it in 3 years because I took a year off, and that's totally okay. The program's flexible. If you need to take a break and step away, you can do that. You can power through. You can do it in 1.5 to 2 years. Keeping in mind that most students are working full time. And so the 2 years is the 1 course at a time pace, but you can absolutely double up your courses. I did it 1 session while I wasn't working, and I don't know how people do it while working. It's a lot of, just doubling up the reading and the writing that you're doing each week. But the beauty of this program is that it's flexible to your needs and to your goals.
And Alicia, there was a question for you that came in. I'm curious about the work you do as a graduate assistant.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So this semester I'm working with Dr. Schlossberg and Dr. Hazel. So I did a little bit of work with Dr. Hayes as well. So I was fortunate enough to work with 3 professors this semester. And I think it's different depending on what each professor needs and what they need help with. But currently what I'm working with Dr. Schlossberg is he's implementing a Mexican cultural exhibit in the museum in Spokane. And so I'm helping him with doing some translating because I also speak Spanish. So we're doing some translating with these incredible mask makers and in Mexico, in Michoacan, Mexico. And so I'm helping him with this project that he's been working on for quite a long time. And I'm very excited to work with him and be involved in that aspect. So like I said, it's not just work within the classroom. It's working with professors with their projects, and I've learned so much with that aspect. And I'm working with Dr. Hazel. I know he mentioned he's doing some upcoming research, and I'll be helping him with, and just work with some of his classes and I've done some research with Dr. Hayes a few weeks back. So it's really, you just get a great variety, and it depends on what each professor is doing. And I've been fortunate enough to work with 3 professors and get a good variety and good opportunity to expand my skills outside of the classroom.
Thank you, Alicia. Brittany, there's a question for you. Brittany, how is it with earning 2 concentrations? Is the only difference the amount of courses you take? How much overlap has there been?
Yeah, so you'd have to work with your advisor and student services to figure out the overlap portion. Some overlap is allowed. I ended up at 33 credits by choice. I think I could have done it within 30 credits because you do have that extra elective in there. I think what put me over the edge is I wanted to take a digital storytelling course just to round things out for myself. And so I added an additional course onto my course load. Well worth it. Really glad I did that. At one point I thought, I could graduate earlier if I don't do this, but I am really glad I stuck with it, and I'll be finishing in May with both concentrations. It basically fit within the 30 credits. It's if you can swing it, I find it worth it. And I guess the downside is I didn't have open electives. So even though there are really cool courses, like I really wanted to take the Women in Leadership course, but I don't have room for it and I want to graduate eventually. So, it's kind of the beauty of it is it's flexible. You can do the courses within the concentrations. You can take those courses anyway and not declare the concentration. So there's some flexibility. But I found that the digital media strategies and the strategic and organizational communication are really complementary, even though they are different focuses. The courses are pretty complementary, and I'm glad I chose that route. Any other questions? I know we've had a few folks join us. We love it. Please reach out with questions at any point. Use the chat. You can raise your hand. You can just speak out. We're happy with any method of communication here. So, oops. I will move on to the next slide. Please feel free to jump in with questions. We're getting into some of the nitty gritty. It's so exciting talking about financials, but really important when deciding on a graduate degree. We are priced very competitively at $1,000 a credit. It's a 30 credit program. Most students, because they do the program in 2 years, are looking at $15,000 a year in tuition. There's a one-time scholarship available once you're admitted to the program that you can apply for. We recommend doing the FAFSA. Most students are eligible for up to $20,500 in federal student loans every single year. The graduate lifetime cap, I think, for all grad school, including a PhD, if you so wish to do that, is about $137,000. So personally, I chose to finance my entire first year with student loans. I did the math and decided that within a few years, my salary would be high enough that I would make that money back. And that is the route I took. But there are other options. How far in advance do you need to start the FAFSA process? Because we have 5 start dates a year, you could do your FAFSA at any point. You might come into a situation if you want to start, for example, the summer session. That's technically part of the former academic year. So you'd end up in a situation where you're doing 2 FAFSAs because you're doing one for, say, the 2021-22 school year. And then when you start fall, you'll be in a new school year. So you'll do a new FAFSA. But the nice thing about the FAFSA is it just sucks all of your tax information in and knows it from year to year. Very creepy, but it works well. I'd say if you're thinking about applying for the spring, the January term, I would do your FAFSA now. But know that you have a couple of months to get it done, and then the results will come straight to our Student Financial Services Department as long as you put in our school as a recipient. And as Alicia exemplified, there are graduate assistantships available. These are, a way that you can pay for part of the program. Students can apply for these opportunities as long as they are enrolled. You have a few opportunities a year to apply. And just to kind of give you the breakdown, if you were awarded 1 credit hour, if Gonzaga said, okay, we're going to pay you 1 credit, we're going to pay for one of your credits in your courses, they'd be looking for about 40 hours of work from you across the semester. And so
Brittany, there are a couple other questions.
Yeah.
I hope I'm not interrupting you.
Oh, you're fine. I
Okay.
see. So the deadline for spring semester, yes, that deadline is coming up. We have a final deadline. It's on the next slide, but I think it's December 1st. Lots of time to get in for January. There's a priority deadline November 2nd. Again, we'll see the dates in a moment. So if you are thinking about starting courses, the next opportunity is going to be the January session. And the sessions do follow the traditional academic year calendar, and there is a summer session. So the way it works in the fall, our 16-week semester is split into fall A and fall B. So those are 2 8-week courses that you take back to back with a couple of days off in between. The spring, there's session A and session B, the same thing, where you take 1 8-week course, have a few days off, and then you take your next 8-week course. And the summer is just 1 8-week session. So typically students will take 2 courses in the fall, 2 courses in the spring, and 1 class in the summer for 2 years to graduate within 2 years. So as far as financial aid for study abroad, basically you can utilize financial aid for the tuition for the courses and for the course fees as well. It doesn't differ. You have the freedom to use, for example, your federal financial aid in whichever way you want, if that's covering costs for a trip or if it's just covering the fees and the tuition. But it doesn't differ as far as international versus domestic. Let's see. We also offer interest-free payment plans every semester. And because we are split up in this A-B session, it's important to note that when you apply, when you register for your courses, the tuition for the whole semester is going to be due the first week of the semester. And so if you think I'd like to have some more time to pay that, you can set up an interest-free payment plan with student accounts. We also work with lots of employers on tuition reimbursement. Our student account staff is great with that. And then, of course, if you graduated from Gonzaga, you should absolutely utilize the graduate education scholarship for alumni. It's the largest scholarship we currently offer for the program, and it would save 15% on your tuition.
Brittany, sorry to interrupt, and maybe you got this. Sorry if I was multitasking. Do the sessions follow the traditional academic year calendar, or there's summer sessions as well?
Yeah, so the 2 in the fall, 2 in the spring, 1 in the summer. And that encompasses an entire academic year. So typically you would take 5 classes unless you're Alicia and you're doubling up. You know, but there lots of flexibility regardless of which way you go. So this slide keeps trying to pop up. So other fees outside of tuition to consider, because I like to be very transparent. You know, outside of the $30,000 tuition, there are some technology fees. Per semester. This is broken down, assuming that you are attending over the course of 2 years. There's some lab fees, and then the book estimate is high. For example, I just had an elective course where my book was $22. And so, you know, I'm going to leave the program having spent less than $1,000 on my textbooks because I'm always looking for the best deal. We encourage you to get your textbooks wherever makes most sense for you, whether that's Amazon. Sometimes they're cheapest through the Gonzaga bookstore, getting a used copy mailed to you. So I shop around every single semester to get the best deal on my books. And I invite you to all do that as well. But when all is said and done, you're looking at, you know, about $32,400 for your 2 years of graduate school, including all those fees and your books. What this does not include, it does not include travel to Spokane if you come for the immersion or any of the study abroad courses. So you tack that on top of this amount.
There's a question from a current double major in communication studies and psychology. Which I have several questions about the application process. Would an entrance exam be required? Letters of recommendation? Would I be able to start graduate courses before finishing my undergraduate degree?
So good questions. We're going to get into the application in just a moment. So technically, you do need to have a bachelor's degree to even take the grad courses as a non-matriculated student. And so you would need to complete your bachelor's degree prior to starting courses in COML. However, you can still apply while you're in your bachelor's degree. We do provisional acceptances frequently. And what that means is that say you're graduating in December of this year and you want to start classes January, you can apply now and get us a transcript and we can get you a provisional acceptance, but then we'll need another transcript once you've graduated that shows that degree that you've earned. So, you know, there are options.
And there's also the graduate pathways program if you're internal to Gonzaga, right?
Yes, if you are a current Gonzaga undergrad, please get in contact with us about our 4+1 program, where you can start taking your graduate level courses your senior year at Gonzaga and graduate within a year after that with your master's degree and significant cost savings. So if there are any Gonzaga undergrads in here, please get in contact with me and we can discuss those options. So next steps for you, if you haven't already talked to me and you're interested in applying, I would always invite you to make a an appointment with me. We can do a Zoom even if you'd rather do that than the phone. I can meet people on campus if you're in the Spokane area. I'm happy to grab coffee with you. You know, the application fee is being waived through the month of October. After that, if you are still in need of a fee, if you're thinking about applying after that, please reach out to me and I'll get you a fee waiver code to waive the $50 application fee. If you are associated with Gonzaga, you would just use your Gonzaga ID number to waive that fee in the future. And we do have 5 start dates a year. So you can plug into the program at any point. It doesn't matter when you start the program because every student starts with the same Theorizing Communication course. And then after that, you can take your courses in any order you wish. The next start date is going to be our January 11th start. And that deadline, the final deadline is December 1st, but there is a priority deadline of November 2nd. And the reason we have those priority deadlines is for scholarship, if you do want to apply for the one-time scholarship. So make sure to apply early if that's the route you're going. Let's see. And then as far as the application process, it's pretty straightforward. There's the online application. We do require an official transcript that shows your bachelor's degree that you've earned. We require 1 recommendation for this program. However, if you'd like to provide more than 1 recommender, we can facilitate that. I had 3 recommenders because I really wanted a well-rounded application to the program. So, you know, if you have more than 1 person who you think would want to do that for you, we can facilitate that. We also look for a statement of purpose. This is kind of telling us why Gonzaga, why communication, and what you are looking for in your program, and also, you know, what you hope to leave the program, what your goals are. And then a resume. So it's a pretty straightforward application. I am in the admissions office and I'm happy to take a look at your statement of purpose or your resume. If you just want another set of eyes on it before you submit it, I'm always happy to do that. We are in the admissions office. Our goal is to help you build the strongest application possible. So please take us up on any of those opportunities. We're happy to help. And so now I would say, let's open it up again for questions for Alicia, for me, for Pavel, for Mike, any of the folks here. We've had some good ones so far. And any of the topics we covered, whether it's financial aid or courses or study abroad, we're happy to answer. So Sarah has a question about what do the study abroad sessions look like? And I would just say, I'll let Pavel get into this, but they are a normal 8-week long asynchronous course, but for about 10 to 12 to 14 days, you're going to be traveling to a destination city with your peers and your faculty. And then you'll end the course virtually at home. You'll wrap things up. But Pavel, if you want to.
Yeah, each one is a little bit different because again, it's not just about being at a destination, but it's also the outcome, the experience is purposefully distinct. So one that I've often co-facilitate, the Columbia course. It's a community communication, community leadership, and community development course with Javeriana, and really, so we stay on campus in residency with a Jesuit guest house, but we also do a lot of work within and that's over a period of 2 weeks. So we live in residence, have dine together as a group. We do some cultural events together, and then we work purposefully with in side by side with some community projects to not to be there to resolve others' problems, which we can't do, but to understand actually the strengths of local communities and things that we can learn from them and how we can collaborate together and build bridges, or really. So that's the kind of the central focus for that. Different ones look differently, but with all the residencies, there's always a community-based component to it. There's going to be teamwork, and there's obviously it'll acknowledge the local context. So there will be both the formal educational context and certainly cultural opportunities. So, for example, in Cali, Colombia, we learn about coffee farms in the Andean mountain foothills, and we learn about sustainability and those types of issues. And it's just and also the culture around coffee growing and consumption and and a coffee farm, so it's kind of a nice kind of analog to doing the work in an urban context, and then doing a weekend to sort of acknowledge those contexts as well. And each of the other programs will have those intercultural immersive experiences where it's not just the formal learning, but it's engaging and interacting and reflecting on the culture too.
Wonderful. Thank you, Pavel. I know that our study abroad options are very popular, especially this year after a year of kind of being stuck and not being able to do them. And so folks are definitely taking advantage of the next year. I unfortunately did not get to go to Florence. It's still on my list, maybe someday, but I just thought that was one of the things that drew me to the program, was that, oh, I can do study abroad in graduate school. Who knew? For those of you who didn't get a chance to do it in undergrad, it's, an opportunity. So let's see, any other questions from the group about anything we've discussed, whether it be financial aid or curriculum, work-life balance? I do have a poll for those of you who stick around to the end, and I thank you if you do. Let's see. I am going to do some, let's see.
There's one more program about how many study abroad programs fit into the schedule. It depends on an individual schedule. For many people who are busy professionals, certainly they can do one or two, but I actually literally know at least one individual who did all of their electives basically as study abroad. They obviously weren't able to do a formal concentration, which is totally fine. But they had interest in intercultural communication, among other areas, and they literally did half of their programs in what is an asynchronous online program as a dominant format. Half of it they did as their study abroads.
Yes, you have room in your electives to do every single study abroad if that's what you want to do. We are open to it.
Absolutely.
Let's see. So I am going to do a quick poll for those of you who stuck around. Thank you. Let's see.